So we had a bit of bad luck last night. Last night in the UK, we were totally unaware that we were in for a storm. As those of you tuned in for my weekly Sunday live show will know, I've got a massive marquee erected in my garden, which allows me to do safe outdoor activities with the young people I teach. And indeed, just 3 weeks ago, we ran a week-long workshop where a group of youngsters wrote and recorded a film. We used the marquee as a safe, ventilated outdoor space. And this is what the marquee looked like when we bought it. It's massive, to say the least, at 9 metres by 5 metres, which is about 28 feet by 16, at least 3 metres or 9 feet tall. A really great space which safely accommodates quite a few people while still socially distancing. We plan to use the space for the summer workshop as well as my 50th birthday celebrations, but more importantly, it was also going to be used as the base for the British Boutique Guitar Festival in July. However, it seems that fate had other ideas last night. We had light wind and rain all day in typical UK Bank Holiday Monday weather yesterday, but around 9:30 p.m. I could hear the wind getting stronger, and I looked outside and the marquee was starting to flap about a bit, so I headed out to tighten up the guy ropes and make sure that all the feet were properly pegged down. Fortunately, the structure was pretty heavy owing to the fact that I've lined it with black theatre serge, which weighs a heck of a lot actually, and also installed some LED lighting fixtures on the middle connecting bar too, so we could use it easier after dark. Thankfully, this had previously led to it standing up really well to even moderate winds. Sadly, while I was out there trying to secure the ropes and pegs, the wind took a sudden and dramatic turn for the worst. Looking at the weather forecast, it was due to be gusting at around 47 miles an hour. The marquee stood up to that kind of wind so many times this year and last year too. However, the winds last night turned out to be way stronger than that, with gusts measured locally this morning I see up to 99 miles an hour. So as you can imagine, I was having quite some struggles securing the tent against those sort of winds. I ended up using our really heavy cast iron garden furniture to tie down the upright poles, and as I thought if I didn't, the whole thing would probably act like a giant sail, and after all, that's exactly what it is. And it ended up lifting off and doing untold damage to the house, and even the studio here and adjacent houses down the street could fly all over the place. There was no way that I could have dismantled the structure during such high winds, but I'm really glad that I did weigh it down further before going inside to keep an eye on it, because at around midnight the winds were gusting at their worst, and I'm pretty confident that they were well into the 80s and 90 miles an hour range. And all of a sudden I saw the whole marquee trying to lift off the ground, and had I not attached the garden furniture, my worst fear would have definitely been realised. As the marquee landed, some of the supporting legs gave way and one end of the marquee folded in. The winds continued for, well, quite a few more hours, but I was confident that my fixings would hold it in place, and very luckily they did. However, this is the scene of devastation I was met with at 5 a.m. this morning when I got up to check on it. As you can see, pretty much all of the supporting legs had given way, although the roof structure stayed almost completely intact. The garden chairs had taken quite a battering and were scattered all over the garden, but amazingly they remained tied to the uprights and definitely stopped the whole thing from taking off and blowing away, as well as doing untold damage to other buildings in its wake. I'm so glad that I managed to secure it. I was even more pleased to find that when I went inside the tent this morning, that all 3 of the hung LED lighting fixtures were still attached to the bar, and amazingly they were dry. They would have cost almost as much as the marquee to replace, and I had actually considered trying to move them the night before, but I decided that getting up a 2-metre ladder in the middle of a gale was probably not worth the risk to my own safety. Many of the internal poles have bent and broken, along with every single one of the supporting poles, and the marquee's been reduced to pretty much just the roof. I've no idea yet if I'm going to be able to get replacement parts or replace the marquee, as it was an end of the line sale when I bought it last year. But I'm determined to work something out because, as always, the show must go on. I guess the moral of the story is that if you put up a lightweight garden structure, check the weather forecast regularly and carefully, and look out for gusting wind predictions, as they can often be much stronger than the quoted wind speeds given in the weather report. The main thing is that nobody was hurt and no other property got damaged as a result, and I'll work out a way to salvage or replace the marquee before it's needed next. So that's what I have for you today, folks, and I hope that none of you experienced anything similar last night or recently. I know this will probably seem pretty trivial to some of my American friends who obviously, especially in the Midwest, experience tornadoes and stuff every year, but it's not a very common experience over here in the UK. Anyway, I'll be back on Friday, and fingers crossed, I hope to have a special guest for you. So please be sure to tune in for that. In the meantime, have yourselves a great week and a safe week, and as always, you take good care.